Welcome back to the channel. All right, we need to talk about the newest, biggest, baddest 5 of 5 defender with all the swipes you could ever want in a fighting game named Enchantress is coming to the game that we love, MCoC. And I debated back and forth on making this video for quite a while. In fact, it's going to come out, I think, almost about a week after I was first able to read her abilities in the CCP. And just full forthrightness, right? That's what we do around here. I read her abilities and I honestly was a bit bewildered, all right? And I intentionally decided I'm going to wait. I want to see the deep dives come out. And I want to see the community's reaction on this because I know how I'm feeling. But almost all of my advice, everything you're going to hear in this video, and the reason why I am making it is with the intention of being helpful. I'm not here to complain or rip into people or anything like that. And I want to set that right now. Okay, because I do want to know what you think. And viewer, please write your comments down in the comment section. You know I often read them, as many as I possibly can. As the channel grows, it's getting harder and harder to read them all. And I will submit this to Kabam. If they read it, they watch it, I hope they do. That is the point. That is the point of all of this. In fact, I want you to know that I'm going to list 4 concerns. There's a 5th one that's going to tie in with all of them. They're kind of all going to tie together under the idea of like, I don't think players are going to ultimately enjoy this and what she causes for the game. But I ultimately, 2 things. 1, there are no villains here. No one has gone out and done this with intention, in my opinion. There is absolutely no evidence to think that. And so let's keep it civil. And 2, I hope I am horribly wrong. I hope every list of concern, every concern on here, we end up finding out in 10 years, we're looking back and we're like, remember when you thought Enchantress was going to be a problem in the game? Man, were you wrong? And I'll be like, yeah, I was. All right, I'm glad we're still playing 10 years later. But if I'm not, and even if I am, I think there's things that we can learn from this. And like I said, I want you to go and comment down below. Now, I watched the deep dives. And you know what? That guy, that Karate Mike, he did a phenomenal job. I have no idea how he was able to make a deep dive on her, and I think it was only 9 minutes long. And I paid attention to the way my Discord server reacted to what they heard. And then DLL did his live stream coverage, and I saw that, and comments were pretty positive. My Discord server, 2 players actually kind of predicted some of her swipe animations, and they were like geeked up, man. They were pumped up. They were excited. Now they're really, really high skill players, high knowledge players. But overall, my Discord server was like, all right, sounds cool. And then I joined a couple chats with some like tier 1 players, right? SSX, they might be the best horror alliance in the game now. And I went and I talked with some of them, right? Because I played with SSX for years, for a very long time. And I know a lot of them are friends of mine. And they were like, you know what? We wanted a tough mystic defender. We're getting one. And that made me feel a lot better. But then I still marinated on this. And I was like, no. My concern still exists because there is a lot more people, players, playing this game that aren't in what looks like potentially the #1 war alliance in the whole game. I know, GT40, I get it. They're not dethroned just yet after doing this for like 2 or 3 years in a row. But SSX appears to be in the conversation, okay? And at least as of right now, they are #1 in the game. But it gives you an idea of the skill set and the knowledge set of players of this that I'm referencing. And so I'm going to start off with #1. Okay, she's clearly at a minimum complex to play. This is her signature ability. Okay, and I love that they included all this. Okay, I love that you included all these like links here and the blue text. But look at that. We have never seen anything even remotely close to this. I've heard a lot of people talk about the swipe animation and how it relates to Spider-Punk. And Spider-Punk is like 1-year-old on their tricycle riding on ground that has been padded by their parents. And it's got training wheels and remote control. And this is like jumping out of an airplane with absolutely no parachute. Like I understand that they're going into similar directions. I get why people are saying like, oh, like Spider-Punk. And it's like, not really even. I get it. I get the spirit of what you're saying, but look at this, right? All these things you're going to have to remember. And then also in the middle of a fight, be able to skillfully pull off In a game that's getting harder and harder, and timing's getting more difficult, and defenders are getting tough, which she is also bringing to the table, and we will get to that, to the point where, and like the designer, to their credit, and I think they should be credited for this. They're realizing like, hey, I'm asking the player to learn a lot. I'm asking the player to learn a ton. But in the spotlight, they even write, look, if you can't remember it, hit the pause button and go and read it. And I think they should be applauded for that. I also think, though, and this is my education, my training, my life, right, and my business sense is, when things are getting to that level of complication where you're aware that people might need these sorts of reminders, it might be a time to start axing stuff off. It might be a time to start being like, we're making this a little too complicated. The bigger, the longer the preamble I needed to make so that people could understand my point means my point might be a little too complex. It might be a little too, I think the word is maybe esoteric, a little out there. And maybe I need to simplify what I'm trying to say. You're wrong. And in a game where, and in the latest Kabam live stream, phenomenal live stream, by the way, I think they did a fantastic job. And I loved it. I love the transparency. We heard multiple Kabam, at least one Kabam employee, talk about, we're trying to make things less complex, right? Like I think we have the new event interface. And they talked about we need to keep new players coming to the game if we want to be a forever game. And I do think Kabam's got a shot at that here. They've already done 10 years. And if you're making steps to make the game less complex, more accessible, more user-friendly, especially in the beginning, can you imagine being a player that is like, oh, I love Deadpool Wolverine, I loved it. Let me go to the App Store, see what Marvel games there are. Ooh, this Enchantress looks interesting. I love that character from the comics. Oh my good God. What am I supposed to do at? Now, that doesn't also mean we don't have to go to the other stream and say like, okay, you can't make complex champions. What I'm saying is, when you're aware that you need to simplify stuff, make this more accessible to players, even some of your current long tenured, relatively like high skilled players are saying like, slow down, make it a little more simple for me. I'm not saying just like go back to the Captain America kit, but like, down. And then you just blow the roof off the house with the most complex character that there has ever been. I mean, it is not even remotely close. It really flies in the opposite direction. This is not a baby step towards complexity. This is a massive, massive chasm between whatever you currently view, or tell me who you think it is. Who's currently the most complex champion, the most things you need to remember in a fight to pull off great results? Which kind of leads to what I feel is like a big problem. Is if you look at her spotlight, she's not a damage dealer. She's actually been goal oriented, or her goal is actually a defender. And that's a concern because, you know, if you try to swing for the fences for an attacker, and I do think Kabam should do that. Like, that's great. That's artistry. That's design. That is how new things get created. Because you can even learn from your mistakes. If let's say she ultimately is like, you know what, the community doesn't adapt it. We tried something. There's a handful of players that clearly love her. Like, there's a handful of players that love Psycho Man. Well, hopefully what Kabam did is they're like, okay, let's learn from that. Let's try to take what those players love and implement it, improve on it, and iterate on it. And that's the problem I see here with her, or one of the problems, is she's a 5/5 defender. Now, I don't know if you fought Serpent lately, but 5/5 defenders are extremely difficult. And there's more than one, but I currently have one counter, at least in Battlegrounds, that I feel okay fighting Serpent with. And even then, it can go horribly, horribly wrong. And that's with America Chavez. So if Enchantress is anywhere near the difficulty of Serpent, and she doesn't land as an attacker, then we're stuck with this miss of an attacker and a brutally hard defender, who, just to be clear, has a lot of skill ass to basically disable her danger, right? It looks like it's debilitating. That's like Luke Cage. I know I was surprised when Titania's got one too, and then Spider-Man, OG Spider-Man. So that's who I'll be investigating. And this is kind of moving on to point 2, is we also heard Kabam on the stream talk about this took a lot of resources. Now, we don't know what those resources were, but I think we can all safely assume that they were human resources, human hours, human time, human effort, human energy. And we don't know. I mean, I got a small peek of the design process when I got to be part of the process for Kushala. And so I know that it's not just the designer, other people pitch in and the team pitches in and all these ideas. It's relatively collaborative. I'm going to assume that the balance team also is part of this, right? I would think that they create this, and then at some point the balance team must look at it, right? Because it just makes sense to me. I don't know for a fact, but it makes sense to me. And when you have a champion this complex, in a game this complex, in a game where I think it is 3 months that a champion exists in the game, and then Kabam goes and looks at the data before they decide if they're going to rebalance them up and or down. I guess not and or, but well, as an attacker or a defender. And they do that over the course of 3 months. Who was all this time and energy and effort coming from? And as someone who runs a business and has been relatively successful with it, I know that the more time, effort, and energy you spend on something, the more of your human capital that goes to an effort, whatever that effort is, the more important it is that it succeeds. Which then again, to me, means why attacker and defender? Why this incredibly complex offensive toolkit that you don't know if the community is going to enjoy? You don't know if it's going to land. That's also a 5-5 defender that we are stuck with. That also took up a tremendous amount of time, and we don't know where that came from. We have no idea. It may have just been the designer himself, in which case, like, man, I hope you got a vacation after this. But I have a feeling it was a team effort. And so other champions or quests or balancing effort, I don't know. But something else didn't get as much attention. We know that. They told us that. Just, again, intensifying the need for this champion to land on top of 5-5 defender. So my last point is kind of on a different thing. It's related to Enchantress, but that's really it. We know that she took a tremendous amount of time. We know that she took a tremendous amount of resource. They told us that. We have eyeballs. We can see that this is the most complex ever. We know that there appear to be skill asks. In fact, I think you're going to need to be asked to intercept. And we know that they chose to go above and beyond. This isn't power creep. This is power, triple jump. And all in the same kit. And I'm concerned because the importance of her landing well seems higher than any champion they have ever produced. We don't know how much time, effort, and energy has gone into all the other ones, but we know they specifically called out how much went into this one. We also know that she's a 5-5 defender, so we're going to be stuck with her as a brutal defender, regardless of whether she lands offensively or not. Because that's the thing. If people don't enjoy playing her, she doesn't land offensively, fine. Just no one plays her, right? Maybe 1 or 2 random people having some fun. That's cool. That's great, right? It's a miss. Just put it on the shelf. You learn from it. But this costs so much. I hope she lands. And if she does, kudos. Kudos to the designer and the team for trying something. My concern and my suggestion is maybe don't try to hit a home run or honestly a grand slam in literally everything all at once. Try to learn some things. Go build as you go, and hopefully the community learns, and or the community enjoys her. And if they don't, you can learn from what they don't enjoy. You can learn from what she doesn't, how she doesn't land, and then make her better or make a new champion better. That's just the way this game progresses. That's why champions who are older have less complex kits, right? And that's why they sometimes get buffed, is because That's what the team was doing at the time, man. You make the champion for the game and maybe where you think it's headed. She just feels light years unnecessarily. My final point, and this is a little bit different. This is more just kind of like on the topic of, is I'm trying my best to jump out of this. I do think there's a chance I'm going to get her early access bundle, and I'm just telling you that because she is a 5/5 defender. I do enjoy BGs. Having a good defense is part of that. There's even a part of me that thinks her kit looks kind of interesting. If I enjoy it, I could see myself really diving in. And that's why I'm not saying I'm like positive she's going to miss. And I do have like a lot of hope that I am wrong. But people are really going to have to get some good damage and utility out of her, or the vast majority of people are not going to dive in. But what's the point of this? The point is when the rebalancing program was first announced, I had some serious hesitation. One of my largest kind of like concerns, one of my largest like, guys, I see this as a problem. And I want to make this also clear. I do not think this is intentional. I do not think there's a villain here. I think there's no evidence to show that this is done with intention. And I also agree and believe that this game needs to make money. So on some level, you know, but what I said was, listen, we've got war and we've got battlegrounds. And this will just make the game, I hate to use the term because I hate the term, but more pay to win. Because what can happen here is these large like tries, these large like iterations, these large jump forward can happen because they always know they can reel it back in. Now they're not going to want to push this too far or too hard, but over the course of those 3 months, this champion exists in those ecosystems of Alliance War defense and in battlegrounds. And you're going to have to fight them. And that's why you heard me say, like, I'm probably going to get her early access bundle too and rank her up so I can just plop her on defense, even if I don't enjoy playing her. Because I know she'll make it harder for my opponent. They'll probably ban her, and then I can use more of the attackers I do enjoy. I mean, it's a competitive advantage. That's the term pay to win. I want to make this abundantly clear, viewer. You know, if you write this sort of stuff in the comments, I'm just not even going to respond. It's just not, it's not the world I live in. If I thought Kabam was like this blood-sucking vampire, I would not cover this game. You guys know me by now. I would not cover it. I don't believe they are. They're doing their best. They are people. They are human. But we're already seeing it with Bullseye. He has been an absolute nightmare. We're kind of learning to fight him. We've kind of got some options. He got nerfed. Serpent has been an absolute nightmare the last 2 Battleground seasons. Just like beyond ridiculous. So I get it. Players playing higher than me in Tier 1 War and Battlegrounds, they're looking for a new challenge. I get it. But that's literally 200 players. That is literally it. There are significantly more people playing this game who in all likelihood are not looking for that challenge right now. But they're gonna have to face them. They're gonna have to face them in Battlegrounds. They're gonna have to face them probably in quest nodes, and they're gonna have to face them in war. There's that infamous picture of Boss Island that's just all bullseyes. If the Alliance knew that was they were actually being penalized because of the lack of defender diversity, then they were just being jerks and hoping their opponent quits. And in a game like this, where people are spending their hard-earned units and or their hard-earned dollars, that just feels cheap. It's not. I don't believe there's anyone at Kabam wants their players feeling that way. They want to make a game that's fun, that doesn't feel cheap, that you spend your time, your effort, your energy, and your money on, because the challenge feels tough but beatable, because you feel like you accomplished something, because you're having fun playing it, because it's deep and rich. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how Enchantress turns out. But these concerns, I needed to make the video. I wanted to wait till I could kind of settle. I could get the community's reaction, or at least the community I've been working with. Read a lot of people, though, also in my Discord server and other places, saying, like, I'm not really wanting another complex defender. So we'll see. As usual, let me know what you think I got right. Let me know what you think I got wrong. And I do genuinely hope that we come back here in 10 years and laugh, because she has been nothing but an unmitigated success. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.